Welcome, everybody, to episode 2 of Lightin the Lamp. I'm one of your hosts, Flo Dola, Beer Dola, High Roller Dola, whatever Dola you want me to be, I'll be it. But and always with me is my PIC, my partner in crime, a man from the East Coast, as always, Mr. Junta, JG, as I always like to call him. How we doing over there, kid?
I mean, I was excited yesterday. The excitement is rising. It's flowing through the bones here.
Palpable. You can
The
feel
blood
it.
is
Sweat's
flowing.
dripping.
We
Right?
are T-minus 14 hours and 53 minutes from New York Rangers playoff hockey. Game 1 of the playoffs. It doesn't get any better than this. One day from the 29th birthday. Last year in the 20s here. We're going to get her buzzing. And the Rangers are playing on a Saturday in August. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this, bud. So what do you got for me?
I mean, I got a few drinks for you, but I'm loving the jersey. Actually, probably one of my favorite types of NYR jerseys. And you got the Callahan jersey.
Bringing it back old school, an
One
absolute
of the
Ranger
top
legend.
10, one of the captains. We talked about him a lot last episode. If you didn't catch it then, please catch it. We're going to be posting all of our videos. Definitely go back, listen up. But, Joe, so what we got going on today is something different. We're going to actually be shotgunning instead of pounding back a Budweiser, which don't worry, fans, there's definitely one on deck coming at you. But I'm going to shotgun a Mango White Claw. And JG's going to be putting back a Twisted Tea. So something a little different. And you know what? We're doing it so we get the chirping going. Something we didn't talk about and something we love in hockey is chirps. Chirping each other. Hopefully the fans get going. Hopefully you chirp us a little bit, get engaged, start to love it just a little bit. But we're going to be lighting the lamp here just shortly right after we put back some of these beers. So hold on.
I just sprayed it all over my screen. I hope you guys got that. Had to catch it. Just a mess as usual. Things never change. We're going to wipe the screen here. And the boys are going. You ready to go for me or what? Here we go. All right. Woo. Wow. Mr. Beardola, that was a start. I've been buzzing since yesterday's episode. I'm ready to go here. How about you?
Damn. Talking about lighting it up, baby.
Oh, I sprayed all over the screen. Pre-shotgun, if you didn't notice, I was sucking the mini hole that was spraying all the juice everywhere. So, it's been a start here. I've been buzzing since yesterday's episode. Again, we're getting back into Rangers hockey here. We're T-minus 14 hours, 50 minutes. It doesn't get any better than this. What do you got for me, Mr. Beardola, on the old Gold Coast?
Well, after, taking a shot of White Claws to the eyes and to the stomach, I got another tall boy Budweiser. And you know what?
I'm going to bring out another Twisted Tea before I break the beer open.
You know what? I didn't talk about this on the last episode, Jinta, but you know what I want to talk about on this episode? I was doing a little looking online, and I love our goal light. I love our horn. This baby, if you look on the bottom, it's got every team in the NHL's horn going. So, it's great if we want to light the lamp, right? We can bring every team into it. We can talk about it. But Budweiser has got a beautiful lamp that I'm talking, if we're on this episode, if we're lighting the lamp, I definitely think we need to upgrade. So I'm going to be drinking a tall boy Budweiser every time we hop on this episode and tagging them until they decide that it's time to sponsor Lighting the Lamp. And I'm going to jab them each time until they send us that lamp.
I'm not going to lie to you, pal. The amount of beers you're going to drink before they send us a lamp is going to cost you the $250 anyway. So you might as well just buy it. But you know what, Budweiser, my boy Tim's trying hard here. We're going to chug down to 24 minimum every episode. I'm going to jump on board with that eventually here too. Hear us out. Free ad reads all day long. We're going to bring you some content. We're going to bring you some fans. And, let's keep it going here. Let's get a full lamp and let's get some playoff hockey fired up.
So we're going to get right into it. We're going to get playoff hockey started. So we got 8 series for everyone to preview. So a lot to talk about. In the East, we got 4 series. Carolina Hurricanes versus the New York Rangers. See you later, Hurricanes. I love you, but you're gone. Florida Panthers versus the Islanders. Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Blue Jackets. Montreal Canadiens versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. Chicago Black, and then we're going to the West. So sorry about that. Going to the West, we got the Chicago Blackhawks versus the Edmonton Oilers. Winnipeg Jets versus the Calgary Flames, Arizona Coyotes versus the Nashville Predators, and Minnesota Wild versus the Vancouver Canucks.
Wow, that's a slate of hockey games right there. And not to mention the 4 best teams in the league aren't even on that list, and they'll be here next week.
Aren't even on the list. Aren't even
Washington
considered.
Capitals, St. Louis Blues. I mean, oof. Talk about heavy last 2 Stanley Cup champions, not even on the slate yet. They're not even beginning.
Before we even talk about it, I was watching some of the exhibition games, and Ovechkin obviously pops a clapper from the top of the circles on the power play, just like he's done
every
400 times.
Left circle, 65 flex, breaks one every power play. Then he goes back out with his 100 flex for the regular game. Guy's incredible.
And just puts a goal in. I've never seen someone score more goals from a single spot.
Never mind that. You ever hear about his pregame meal? I mean, if you listen to Chicklets, the guy crosses the sauce. I mean, I'm a Guinea at heart, guys. I'm a New York, New Jersey guy. You guys can tell already. Accent, look, whole thing's there. We know. I mean, look at the picture in the background. We got Tony Soprano, Paulie Walnuts, Frank Sinatra. Doesn't get any more New York. But my man Ovechkin crosses the sauce. He puts Alfredo with the marinade, and we don't do that here in New York. That is a no-no. But, I mean, the guy is going to beat Gretzky's goal record crossing the sauce. So, more power to you with your Coca-Colas and you're crossing the sauce, Ovi. You are an absolute stud and a legend. But you're not on the slate this week, so your shout-out is now over. Let's get right into this New York Rangers-Carolina Hurricanes series because I got a lot to talk about.
I mean, think about what we have riding on the line. We put in the bet. We already dropped the gauntlet to the fans. We are in for 300.
We took it 300 plus 4,000. You know, we're ready to go, and I haven't decided on a number yet, but me and Tim are going to make a bet tomorrow, plus 120, New York Rangers. Not going to get overly crazy. I'm thinking probably around 500 to split. We're talking about 5 units here, so you're looking at plus 120, about $600, $700 return on a nice bet. And I think the Rangers are going to walk out of here in 4. That's my prediction. Obviously a biased Ranger fan. Nothing to lie about there. But, you know, we got a lot of factors here. Carolina's got a lot of factors included. And I'm going to let Timmy start it off here. What do you got for me with this series here, Tim?
It's tough. This one's a tough one, I got to say, because on paper, the Rangers smoked the Canes. I mean, we swept them through the season 4-0. Rangers took every single game, and it didn't matter where it was, in their house, in the Garden, and we weren't necessarily great at the Garden. We were great on the road this year, and we just swept this series in particular. We had the Canes number, but what I would say is that we might not be taking into consideration all their injuries, everything that they did at the trade deadline. I mean, they're still deadly, bro. They're Carolina's top 3, Andrei Stovichkov, Sebastian Aho, Teuvo Teravainen. I mean, I got to give a shout-out myself. I used to play with Ryan Dzingel and DZ. It was always a pleasure to share the battlefield on you with the ice. You know, I don't know if you looked up to me, but I think I knew you before you had your first girlfriend, my man. So, you know, it was a pleasure getting to know you. Hopefully we welcome you on the podcast. But, again, I share my boy's opinion in Rangers 4-1. We're sending you the fuck home. I mean, I know whatever you're coming out with, we're going to send you home. But, I mean, Joe, you saw some of the moves they made at the trade deadline. So walk us through it and maybe why we might be facing a separate team than what we saw all season.
Oh, well, without a doubt. I mean, you got Vincent Trocheck, Brady Shea. The list goes on. I mean, Brady wasn't having a great couple of years with the Rangers, but, I mean, we all know what he could be, what he really is. I mean, he was in the middle.
Stay-at-home defenseman.
Listen, and he could put up points too. His first year with the Rangers, he had over 30 points. I mean, he was a stud for us for a couple of years. He never panned out to what we wanted him to be, and it wasn't his fault. I mean, we had a couple of bad teams he was on, and
I think
he kind of fell into the fold, and he became what he was. And I feel like a move like this to a young, up and coming, skilled team, he could be a lot better than we have ever seen. So I mean, that's a great pickup. Vincent Trocheck is just a natural born goal scorer. I mean, it doesn't get you talk goal scorers in the league that don't play 25 to 30 minutes, and Vincent Trocheck is one of the first that comes to mind.
They almost paid
put 30 up.
They almost paid a king's ransom for Trocheck. I mean, giving up Howla, they gave up almost like two other prospects and a draft pick. So they definitely paid for Trocheck. But yeah, he is dangerous. So like he's adding a different level to this team. I mean, again, you didn't even name Sammy Vatanen too. I mean, he had a long.
Forget that. I mean, look at the whole D in general, Tim. I mean, if you take a look, you got 6 guys. You got 7 that are NHLers day in and day out. I mean, you got Brett Pesce, you got Brady Shea, you got Trevor Van Riemsdyk, you got Dougie Hamilton. Dougie Hamilton scores points like a forward. I mean, he's a 22-goal scorer as a defenseman. The Rangers haven't had a 22-goal scoring defenseman in how many years until now we're coming into that because you have the D'Angelos and the Foxes. But, I mean, Brett Pesce, Trevor Van Riemsdyk, Brady Shea, Jacob Slavin, Dougie Hamilton. The list goes on, Tim.
Hayden Fleury. I know you were a big fan of him too.
Hayden Fleury is a young up and coming stud. He's their 7th D man. I mean, you have Sammy Vatanen you have a top 6 D that's full of top 3 D men. I mean, if you saw a defense core in the league this good, when's the last time? I don't know. I don't know 6 defensemen on a list like that in a long time. I mean, that's what scares me. For me, the Rangers are overpowering on offense. They're incredible. The goaltending situation is bar none the best in the league. I mean, but what you have on D in Carolina, points-wise and defense-wise, it's a D core that the league hasn't seen in a long time. So they're scary also.
Carolina was hot, and that was with Dougie Hamilton with a broken leg and Pesce not playing. You know and that's what I'm saying.
100%.
I would say
that's where their D core comes into factor. I mean, Hayden Fleury played regular minutes, and he's their 7 guy in the playoffs. He might not play a game. So I mean, there's your depth. I mean, and they traded off some guys to get some of these guys at the deadline. They got rid of D. I mean, Jacob Slavin might very well be their 6th D, and he would be a 3rd D man on most teams in the league.
I agree. Can't agree more. I think one of the things it comes down to is, the Rangers, we look at special teams a little bit too, and even then, the Canes and Rangers are even on paper. Rangers with the 7th power play in the league. You got the Canes with the 8th power play in the league. But when it comes down to penalty kill, that might hurt the Rangers because penalty kill, you got the Canes sitting at number 4 in the league and the Rangers at 23rd in the league. So, I mean, if we start taking penalties, I've seen Trouba taking offensive zone penalties somehow. Don't even know how that even exists. Blended. Hopefully,
my take on that. We won't go too deep into it, but I mean, I've been saying for a while now we didn't need to jump into a D-man in the middle of a rebuild. I like him. I really hope he comes out to be what he was supposed to be in these playoffs. I mean, he is a big, strong, young D-man. He didn't have a great year.
Big bomb of a shot.
There's no way around it. Towards the end of the year, he started to look like he was fitting in. The boys really like him, which is a plus because that means whether he has a good or a bad year, they're going to be happy to have him back next year and maybe he improves. The money for me, it was just a lot to give up. Obviously, we thought the cap was going to go up and we're going to get rid of these guys next year, Lundqvist, Stahl, whatever it is. But, I mean, if you look at the Rangers, for me, they have everything to lose in this series. They are to me, how they're going off at plus 120 is it's beyond me because to me, the Rangers are through and through the team that they have every opportunity to win the series, and if they lose, it's their own fault. I mean, they match up well. Their offense is incredible. The goaltending situation is, like I said, bar none the best in the league. I mean, you can't ask for more. You got a 95-point scorer in under the 82-game season with this coronavirus, Panarin. You got Mika Zibanejad had 41 goals in 57 games. I mean, he scored at a higher clip than Ovechkin. Ovechkin won the Rocket Richard Trophy, and we have a goal scorer that's scoring more than him. So what does that tell you about our offense? I mean, apparently Capo Cago's got all the swagger in the world coming into these playoffs. We got the Jesper Fasts and the Brendan Lemieux when he comes back from the suspension here. And I just think we're buzzing, we're young, we're fast, we're healthy, and
we believe in blue. I mean, let's just be biased enough.
Let's be honest.
We got Rangers in 4 fans. I would say take that to the bank, take it with us, believe in them, and hopefully, you believe in blue too. If the Canes take it, I'll be heartbroken. I definitely have to say, I think Mr. Jinton and I realize the Rangers are still rebuilding. We still have a lot to go. I still think we have 10 years of excitement with this team, so we have our expectations curtailed. But you better still believe we have our eyes on the prize with that $12,000. So let's get into the next series, though, Mr. Jinta. Islanders versus Panthers, number 7 versus number 10. I would say this is kind of a pick-em. Just to me, I'm actually leaning much more towards the Panthers in my eyes. I don't know why, just because I always, before the Islanders traded Johnny T, I was always an Islanders fan just because I loved watching John Tavares. I'm much more humbled to Toronto now because of that. But I'm thinking Panthers. I think they take it.
Me, I like the Panthers in 5 for sure. It's a tough series. The Islanders, they got Barry Trotz. They got a
great coach.
They got a defensive system that is bar none the best in the league. They've showed you the last 2 years that they can come out and play with any and everybody. I mean, do I hate the Island? Do I hate the Islanders? Yes, I'm sorry to say the word hate because I know it's a crazy world we live in right now. But as a diehard New York Ranger fan, man, there's no other word that can be used with the New York Islanders. I can't stand them. I dislike them. I hate them. I don't want to watch them. And I don't even want to be on the topic too long. But like I said, Barry Trotz, you got Johnny Boychuk on the back end, Nick Leddy, Matthew Barzal. Now you got Ilya Sorokin coming in eventually here, who was a counterpart of Igor Shesterkin as a Ranger. They split time over in CSK and Moscow together, and they had the same stats, both studs. So, I mean, they have every weapon they need to beat the Panthers. To me, Joel Quenneville, bang for your bucks, a better coach than Barry Trotz. That's my opinion. Obviously, Barry Trotz is in that echelon, so everybody's opinion is their own. But other than that, I like Tavares' offense. Right? They got Bobrovsky on the back end. I love Huberdeau. I mean, they got a couple of good young studs up front, and I just think that they've been underwatched and underrated for a few years. I think they're going to come out with this one in 5.
I full-heartedly agree with you. I think this is going to be a battle. I think they're definitely going to go back and forth, but I think the Panthers find a way to pull this out. The Panthers are very, very used to playing in front of no fans, so I think that's going to play in front of their advantage as well. An empty stadium to them is almost like home because no 80-year-olds show up to their
I went to the Rangers-Panthers early in the season this year down in Florida visiting my grandma. I mean, it was at a Rangers game. It was probably about 4,000 Ranger fans and 2,000 Florida fans.
But I think Bobrovsky, again, what he did when he was with the Columbus Blue Jackets was almost like a miracle on ice. Like he stood on his head.
And
he's an absolute stud.
That's the separation in the series for me.
Because Varlamov for the Islanders is not going to go get this done. And who else do they have?
Thomas Greiss, but they've had the best 2 goaltending tandems in the last 3 years. I mean, the goaltending has been getting it done for them, so you can't discount it. My difference is in a playoff series, you want one guy that gets hot. And when you're a 2-man system, you can't do that. So for me, the Islanders are going to have a little struggle at goaltending. I think Bobrovsky didn't have a great season, but he's obviously got the potential to be the best in the league, and we know that. We've seen it. So for me, I'm taking the Panthers. I don't like the gambling lines are at about -255 Florida Panthers way. I think the lines are way off. I think it's a 5-game series. You like them that heavy, huh?
The Panthers have 5 players that scored 20 goals this season. The Islanders had 1 player score over 20 goals. They don't have people that have been putting the puck in the net, whereas the Panthers have been doing it by committee. Which I think
hot take, Mr. Beardola disagrees with me. I like the Florida Panthers in 5. I don't like the gambling line. Mr. Beardola agrees with the gambling line. Let's move on to the next series here. I mean, we got so much hockey to talk, so I don't want to get too deep into a team that I don't like too much. So let's keep
The,
it moving.
okay, we're gonna get into the David versus Goliath story. The basically average Joe's gym versus Globo gym. The Montreal Canadiens versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. The number 24 team in the NHL coming in ranked from stats and just team record against the number 7 Pens in the NHL. And I gotta say, just when we talk about, I gotta say, the Eastern Conference, I think it is understated this season. I don't even say about the Eastern Conference, but even with the Western Conference, it is wild how much fluctuation there was in terms of people's standings all year, because there was about 10 teams within 2 points of each other, and
Yeah.
everyone was hot and everyone was
Rangers
facing each other.
included.
And honestly, the everyone was going up, down in terms of where they were, in terms of making playoffs, not making playoffs. It was literally game by game getting hot down the streak, and then it all just came to a close. So, I mean, you know, when you talk about the Canadians being 24 and the Pens being number 7, I don't think they're that far off in terms of ranking. Like, if you were thinking about football and you had the number 1 seed coming against the 8 seed, you know they're going to stomp them, right? I
Yep.
don't think it's the case, but I still cannot.
Unless it's the Giants. But
Only
we'll
the Giants. But
day.
again, I still think Pens in 4 in this one. I think Pittsburgh has so much firepower still to this day. They're, you know, a time-told team. They've won the Stanley Cup multiple times between their core roster. They've been there before. They know how to win. I just don't see them losing this series.
Just to rebuttal off that, I mean, I'm agreeing with Mr. Beardola here. Penguins in 4. That was my me from the go. I think the Canadians are good enough to steal a game here. You got Max Domi. You got some young studs coming up. You got, I can't even say his name. He's from Finland. Kataniemi, 3rd overall pick, ended up being a stud the last couple of years for them. You got, you know, the list that you got Shea Weber on the back end. I mean, you got some great players there. Carey Price, one of the best goaltenders in the league. But to me, you got the Penguins. You got Malkin, Hornquist, Crosby. They've won with mediocre defense before. The goaltending situation doesn't matter because you saw that with Murray twice taking over from Fleury the first time.
Yari's great, dude.
Jari could easily
handle
do
the
the
load.
same thing to Murray that Murray did to Fleury.
Instead
me,
on Chicklets. Shout out Chicklets. I know that was your point.
Shout out. That is a Chicklets. I picked that up.
That's a Chicklets point.
At 100%, without a doubt. Shout out Ryan Whitney. You're a legend. We love you. Biz, I like you better because I'm a fighter like you. But, you know, we'll keep it moving. For me, the Penguins are just too strong all over. Coaching, GM, ownership, all the way through. Penguins in 4. I don't even think you could argue it. I'm going to move on from there, and we're going to head to the next series.
Wow. I mean, I would just say if there was ever going to be just a absolute stunner upset, I would say the Habs take this series.
I don't disagree. Just for me,
the floor of the hockey world. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm just saying I'm also a Max Domi guy. I've seen him play. I actually got to watch him play when I was in Arizona with my pops. I've seen him on the ice. He is a stud, and I love watching him play. But I just don't think that. And even on air, we're gonna move past it. We're moving on. We have
we're
a lot
moving
of
on. I love this series for one reason and one reason
it.
only. Blue Jackets, Maple Leafs. There's only one reason I like it. John Tortorella is just an absolute legend. Was a great Ranger coach. Is a great USA hockey guy. He's unbelievable. I mean, you can't get any better media-wise, content-wise, coaching-wise. He's a hard-nosed, I don't give a shit what you think or what you say or who you are kind of guy. And, I mean, we played for a guy like that. I coached with him myself, Gary Golshevsky. It's all about the logo on the front. The name on the back doesn't matter. Your point sheet doesn't matter. Who does the most tonight is who goes on the ice. And to me, Tortorella is one of the few left that runs the game that way, and he's successful for it. So I'm excited about this series.
I'm excited about this series too. I really think that, I was looking at the Blue Jackets roster, and I got to say they weren't a lot of names that stuck out to me. I'm just going to say that from the get-go, right? Like, you look at the team, you still got Foligno, who was an all-star, still the captain. They still got good names, but nothing that's like that's that's Kane, that's Taves, like an NHL recognizable name. And that's not a knock against the Blue Jackets. I know Torch just pulls together a lot of great names, just like the Rangers. Probably like 5 years, when Torch was actually at the helm prior to St. Louis, prior to Nash, it was just a bunch of names that were just hard-nosed, gritty hockey players that just made it happen. Callahan, Kreider, right? Like guys that just brought up this core.
I couldn't agree more.
And, you never can – it's hard to bet against Torch just because you know how many times he's been here and you know what his players are willing to do. I just have to say Toronto, Matthews, Marner, Tavares, and Nylander. Like, it's just like that's roster baiting worthy status. That is, dude. I love John. I love
the fact that they have Tyson Barrie and Jake Muzzin and John Tavares.
I said John Tavares. I covered Tavares, but I would just say Tyson Barrie and Jake Muzzin. Jake Muzzin put the fucking knife in my heart with the Kings and the Rangers. So, I definitely remember Muzzin very well, and it's very hard betting against a team like that because of the firepower. Toronto shoots himself in the foot, but I think this is the year, don't you? You don't think this is the year they carried the team all the way through, or you don't think that they got a shot to move on? You're not.
I like the Maple Leafs a lot. I do. My only qualm is they can't get. Granted, they play their arch nemesis every year, the Boston Bruins, so they can't get over the hump. But to me, you've played them so many times. At a certain point, eventually you got to win in the first round. And maybe they're just not built to win. And you've seen it time and time again. Look at the teams before. Tyler Bozak, Phil Kessel, James Van Riemsdyk. Those are three guys that have gone on to other places. Bozak won a cup. Kessel's won multiple. You had guys that could win.
Austin Matthews was not at the
head. But Austin Matthews hasn't won anything yet. So just like Kessel and Bozak and Van Riemsdyk was a second overall pick. Kessel was in that top echelon. Those guys didn't win for Toronto. They couldn't handle the media. They couldn't handle this. They couldn't handle that. They moved on. They won. For me, it's the Maple Leafs in 4.
Hot takes against JVR, a New Jersey native, played with the Rockets. JG firing away.
I'm just saying. Here we go. You've had
lighted the lamp.
You've had some studly teams in Toronto that could have easily won cups that just never crossed the line. They could never do it.
They've been getting good for a while. I would again say that's like the Jets, right?
I like the Blue Jackets. I like the Blue Jackets because of Tortorella and Tortorella solely. You lost Panarin, you lost Duchesne, you lost Bobrovsky, you lost everything. I don't think there's a way for them to win the series, no matter how good Tortorella gets them fired up, coached. So for me, hot take, I'm going to say Maple Leafs in 5 just because I love Torts, but I really, to be honest with you, think they'll win in 4. But we're going to go Maple Leafs in 5 for you, Torts, because I know you're a legend. You're going to make the boys fire on all cylinders, and that's where I'm at. Maple Leafs in 5. The firepower is just too much. As much as they haven't won before, it's just too much.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm with you all the way on Toronto in 5. I think it's going to be a dogfight for the first 4 games, and they're really going to battle it out. I know the Blue Jackets are going to probably block.
They won't lay down. You know that.
They're going to block 600 shots between now and between the time that the Toronto Maple Leafs send them home. And that's unfortunate because there's going to be a lot of bodies bruised in the process. But I just don't see Toronto laying down.
And just one last thing before we close this series. Let's not forget, the reason I'm going 5 with Columbus, Elvis Merzlikins, man. Where did you come from? Can't leave the guy out. Before we end that series on this note here, one of the best goalies in the league, top 5 easily this season.
He had 5 shutouts. He was right behind Hellebuck for goals against and shutouts.
Unbelievable. I just had to give him a shout out before we close the series because
his stats were better than Igor almost, right?
If they go all the way to Game 5, it's only going to be because of Merzlikins and Torts. So that's where I'm at. I like the
In the
Maple Leaf
exhibition game,
vibe.
I don't know who it was. Was it Blue Jacket? Who did the Blue Jackets play in the exhibition game? When Elvis came in the game, literally almost a play or two later, the other team burned him top shelf, but he was left out to dry. There was nothing he would have done, he could have done or should have done.
Either way, I mean, if they go as far as we're saying they're going to go, 5 games, it's on Merzlikins and Torts. Had to throw Merzlikins in the shout-out. Studley
Like
Tendy, great interview with Spittin' Chicklets. And let's move on.
Did
to the
he? He already had
Blackhawks.
an interview with Spittin' Chicklets. Good for
Yes,
him.
he did.
Love
Yes,
that. All right. Well, good for hockey content. Good for him getting out there. We want to see more of it. Hockey players, if you're interested, come on this show. We're just going to definitely, talk about you, talk about your history, all that stuff. But let's get into the Western Conference game.
Here we go. I love this series, boy.
I would say this is probably one of the most exciting series in this qualifying round, along with the Rangers Kane series, even though I think this is a bit of a lopsided match. I'm talking Edmonton in 3, unfortunately.
Okay, well, I'm gonna give you a real hot take here. We're gonna light the lamp, so you might as well smack the button because
Smacking the button, baby.
I'm gonna go with the Chicago Blackhawks in 5 games. You heard it here first. I don't know who agrees with me, disagrees with me. I mean, the elements that this team brings to a playoff series are bar none an underdog story. I mean, they've won 3 cups. They've been on the decline. I mean, we got Kubalik now. We got the Brinket. We got Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, Duncan Keith, Brent Seabrook. I mean, you have a mix of veterans and young
Corey
guns.
Crawford, man, still around.
Ever, and the goaltending situation for both teams is sideways. So for me, as lopsided as Draisaitl and McDavid are to another team, the Blackhawks have 3 or 4 lines that can play the game. Their defense is up and coming. They have a Calder Trophy candidate on their team who was unbelievable in the exhibition. Put up 3 points, no problem. 5-0 win, 2 goals, 1 assist. How are you, Kirby Dach? Another young Chicago stud, Kirby Dach. Joe Sakic and Steve Yzerman are too busy asking him if he smokes weed to draft him. So, the Blackhawks swooped in there and they grabbed an absolute legend. What a great kid, a great athlete. To me, the Blackhawks are the biggest underdog story in this playoffs besides the New York Rangers. On each side, for me, Blackhawks, Rangers, Western Conference, Eastern Conference underdog stories, young, up and coming with a veteran mix. I like the coaching at the Blackhawks. I like the back office. I like the front office.
The back office is bar none. Honestly, once once Kane, Tays, came around, and I think it was the Wirtz family. Once I think Rocky took over and put them on TV. I mean, it's been bar none. I actually moved from New Jersey to Naperville, Illinois. Lived in Illinois right when in 2008 when all this was going on, right when the team was getting hot. Saw them win in 2000, saw them win in 2013, saw them win in 2015, went to U of I right behind me. I mean, I got to watch that team for so long. I love them. I believe, did you not watch the exhibition game with Edmonton? McDavid and Draisaitl are already firing. They are hot. They're ready.
They always fire.
I think they are going to be too hard to contain, and it's literally on their shoulders that I believe that they are going to take this series. And that's just me. I think they're going – it's almost like Ovechkin in 2018. Was it 2018? He couldn't be stopped. He could not be stopped. He was not going to be that cup.
18 cup. Yeah, it couldn't be stopped.
I don't know if McDavid is going to be stopped, and I don't know if it's in this first round. I don't think it's in the second round. You just see this kid play, and dude.
So let me. I'm going to rebuttal here. Obviously, I didn't get into Edmonton at all because I was too busy adding the Chicago Blackhawks to my spank bank. So. I mean, obviously.
Listen, they are a younger team than the Rangers by like 6 months at an average. They are younger than the Rangers. They are just as exciting as the Rangers to be excited about.
To me, this series is going to be about who can outlast the next. And I know McDavid and Draisaitl can outlast just about anybody. But to me, Edmonton's defense is mediocre. Darnell Nurse has had a good year. He's been okay the other years. You got Oscar Klefbom, same thing. good here, great there, okay here, inconsistent. Goaltending, really. Koskinen, he's 30-something years old, where you're from. Mike
They
Smith.
have Talbot,
Mike
right?
Smith, I like. No, Talbot's on Calgary, pal.
Oh, Calgary.
Mike Smith, I like. I love him. He was on my fantasy team this year, but he's wavy. He could be great. He could be horrible. And the reason I say that the Blackhawks can win this series is solely based on goaltending. Because if either team has bad goaltending, that's who's going to win the series. I mean, McDavid and Draisaitl can make any goaltending look bad, but the team, to me, just isn't deep enough. I think that the Blackhawks could be the upset.
Here's what I'll say: the Hawks had the 28th ranked power play in the league. Like, I'm just saying, like, when we were Rangers fans in 2015, we didn't win the cup because we got on the power play, and we're worse on the power play than we are 5-on-5. I'd rather us, like, just tell the ref, go fuck himself. I'd rather stay 5-on-5 and just keep playing. Dude, the Blackhawks are just not getting it done in the man advantage. And in playoffs, if you're going to face Edmonton, if you have a power play, you better score a freaking goal. So, I mean, that's a pretty hard to overcome. But not only is it that, but Edmonton has not only like one of the best power plays in the league, but one of the best penalty kills in the league. They're studly on special teams. They shut it down on the penalty kill. They score all the time on the power play. If the Hawks, because they're young, take any penalties or screw up at all, Edmonton's going to bury them. So
100%. So here's where I am. You're Edmonton in 3. I think that's a little much. I'm gonna go with the Blackhawks in 5. Hot take. It's just a series that I just don't see either team can win or lose. To me, I mean, I think the goaltending in Edmonton is just too subpar.
Okay.
I think if Edmonton was smart at the deadline, they would have made a move for Hank and made the Rangers eat half the salary, and that would have made them a cup team for me. Bang 3 bucks.
Wow, dish him to that team and let them win the cup. Essentially, give them the cup.
That would have been my move as Edmonton's GM, but another great series.
Hey, listen, Ray Bourque was dished to the Avalanche to go win a cup. Listen, not only did they want
no disrespect, I want my man to win a cup, and
I want my man to win a cup. I put him in the spot.
Destination.
Let's go. They would have been a great destination.
Calgary also. It's a shame it's Canadian teams because you don't want to ship them out of such a great city. But, I mean, 2 teams that are ready to go and ready to win right now. Great landing spots for him.
You and I just both want to see Lundy's name carved on the cup.
100%.
That's all we want to see. So let's get into the next series. We kind of talked. That was a good series to kind of chat about. I think we both are excited to see it when it comes on tomorrow. Now we got the Jets and the Flames. Winnipeg Jets versus the Calgary Flames. I know you got a heart for the Flames. You got a jersey. You got a Calgary jersey. I saw that on you the other day. We're going to be posting a pic on the site of JG in the Calgary jersey. What are you thinking about this series, sir?
To me, the only way the Jets win is if Connor Hellebuck is Connor Hellebuck from all season. And obviously they have a great couple of firsts. You got Kyle Connor, you got Patrick Laine, you got Blake Wheeler. I mean, you got I'm forgetting his name. Matthew Perreault. You got some great firepower up front. Neil Pionk left the Rangers, went over there, tore it up, had an unbelievable season. Honestly, might have been better than Trouba this year. He killed it for them. And what a move, what a pickup for them, moving Trouba out and the salary and all that. I mean,
and getting Pionk.
But I just don't see. I think they're on the decline. They've had their chances. Obviously, Bufflin's not coming back. That's going to hurt huge.
That's huge. His unexpected departure is just something you don't want to see.
For me, the Flames are a team that is a bunch of rats. They play dirty. They play gross. They make you hate them. If you don't love them, you're going to hate them, and it's one or the other. It's a love-hate relationship with them. To me, other than the goaltending situation, which I don't love, their D, Mark Giordano. I mean, you got the list over there on D is it's good. It's close to the Canes D. And then for me on forward, you got Johnny Ham and Cheese, a.k.a. Johnny Gaudreau. You got Matthew Tkachuk. You got it's just there's just so again another team that made great trades. Elias Lindholm from Carolina. They picked up Noah Hannafin from Carolina on D. I mean, they are studly young. Another one of those young teams, like you mentioned, the Rangers and the Hawks. Another very, very young team. Lucic on your fourth line, a cup-winning veteran who could bang it home, who could fight, who's a presence in the locker room. To me, it's
That's a
Flames
presence. Lucic
Flames
is
and
just
four.
someone that's been around for so long that could just fire up a locker room. Just like even like if he
And
gets
they
on
love
the
him.
ice and he's just gonna go mix it up, hit somebody, create a play, dish a puck out. Like he's gonna get the guys going.
100%.
He's gonna do something we love to do. And Lucic, I think, can light the lamp. I think he's a
Oh,
player that's
100%.
going to be lighting the
And
lamp.
let's not forget about one of the best, the most underrated centers in the league, Sean Monahan. I mean, 60 to 80 points a season, a couple penalty minutes, plus minus in the plus 20s and 30s.
Listen,
I mean, you're not
Gaudreau,
getting better than that line.
in 2018, 2019, Gaudreau, Lindholm, and what did you just say? And Monahan were the best line in all of hockey. It was almost like what I talked about in episode 1 in that Nedved, Radek Dvorak and Jan Hlavik line. It was like the line that couldn't – it's like the Draisaitl McDavid line. It's the line that's going to go out and just score all your fucking points for you because they're just all studs. And, I mean, they got it. They definitely have the firepower to do it. I just – Laine was probably one of the best goal scorers. I think probably one of the most natural goal scorers in the league. I would just say that.
He's more than natural. I mean, he's just there's something about him. I don't want to call him lazy because you can't be lazy and be picked as high as he is and score as many goals as he scores. But there's just something about his game that's off to me, and that's why there's trade talks and other things over the last few years.
Laine is like that player. Like I think he's like a designated hitter in baseball. He's like the guy that just wants to get out on the ice. Someone give me a puck. Let me fire it at a goaltender so I could smoke him real quick. And I'm going to get back on the bench and smoke a cigar, like Babe Ruth after I hit a home run. Yeah, going to first base. Yeah, I'm not going to run to first base. Someone run to first, run to third, run around. I'm going to go get a big chew tobacco and just go hang out because that kid rolls around with so much swagger. He rolls on the ice, big body, just shoots pucks, scores goals, and just like, I mean, he kind of has that like mentality where he doesn't have to lift weights, put in the work, sweat over it, bleed over it. He just shows up. And I think that's what puts people off to him because it's just like he's not a guy that's putting in the work. He's just a guy that it was just so naturally gifted to do everything he's doing that it's always been natural. Like think about some of the players we played with never fucking gave into their gifts, never cared about their gifts. So when we saw them play, it's just like, okay, I have to skate like 6 times as hard as you, get around somebody, fight 3 players, get to the net, and then try to pop it top shelf where you just, sorry.
Yep.
Sorry.
Make it look easy like a Panarin.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
To me, this series, it's cut and dry to me. I like the Flames in 4. I'm giving the Jets the benefit of the doubt here. I think the Flames could really win it in 3. Honestly, I think the hatred between the Flames and Edmonton is so deep that they're going to win until they play each other.
It's Flames and Winnipeg.
Oh, sir. I'm saying I think the hate between the Flames and Edmonton is so deep that they're going to win until they play each other. As much as I like
so they could face each other.
I think those two teams want to play each other so bad that you're going to see a different level from both of them until they get each other in a series.
That's interesting. Oh my God. You said something in the first, when we were talking one time and it was just like, this might be the one time the Rangers win the cup and we can't be in the Garden to burn it down. Think about if a Canadian team wins the cup and they can't be in the
They'll burn the city down now. And in New York, they'll do it too, in case you haven't seen. But it is what it is. Either way, we're going to win. Listen, this is playoff hockey we're talking here. I mean, if I would gladly go burn the city down with them if the Rangers win the cup because you know what? I've been waiting a long goddamn time. And I think Canadian teams have been doing the same. So can't blame them if they do.
All right. So let's get into I love it. Let's get into the next series. We got 2 more series. We got 2 more series and close this up after that. But we got Coyotes Predators. And this is a hot series. I know you and I think are going to see it a little bit differently on this, but I think I got a little bit biased towards the Yotes. But Let me hear what you got on this series.
All right, I'm going to start it off easy, simple, and quick. Great series. Coyotes have made some huge moves. I think Chayka quitting on them right before going to the bubble is going to be effective because from what I've heard, he's a big part of the program.
Who quit on them?
The GM, John Chayka. He 20-something years old, brought them Taylor Hall and a lot of nice pieces and did a great job with them.
Oh,
got
for
offered
Phoenix.
a job by
Phoenix
the Devils. Yes, got offered the job by the Devils and a few other teams who own multiple sports programs and want his analytics for all their sports teams. And he asked the Coyotes out of his contract, to go over there. And the Coyotes told him to scratch. And he decided to walk away, saying that he had something in his contract where he could. So he walked away from them last minute. And to me, I think all the hype around the media and everything going on right now, the Coyotes just think it's not going to be easy for them. I like the Predators in 5. I think the Coyotes got a great coach in Rick Tocchet. What a stud. One of my favorite all-timers. I mean, a fighter, a goal scorer, and everything, a small guy. So shout out to Rick Tocchet. I love the Yotes. They got some good goaltending. Antti Ranta and
Ranta, baby.
Minnesota, they got Darcy Kumper. The both of them had great seasons. I like the Coyotes. I do. I just think the Predators bring so much firepower between Matt Duchene, Ryan Johansson, Roman Yossi, Ryan Ellis. You got Pecorine and Yossi Saros in net.
Saros came out hot.
They have a lot of pieces, and they've been around for a while, competing for a cup for the last couple of years, going after it. I like the Predators in 5.
I think the Preds got a lot of experience. Those first few years, they went in with Ellis, Johansson. They had, Forsberg, but they never really got it done in those later rounds. And, one of the things, I just think Arizona is just a surprising team. I mean, Clayton Keller, young kid, stud. Just absolute stud. Derek Stepan, you have a place in my heart for the rest of your life, baby. Like what you did for the Rangers. Like
Game 7 boyhood dream.
I will always remember you. You are always going to be in my mind. You have Taylor Hall, Alex Goligoski, Michael Grabner. Grabner, another Ranger. And God damn it, Grabner, dude. You are still as fast as you've ever been, and you and McDavid in a full race
is not even the word.
Is fucking unbelievable. So I get, it's not those people that jump off the page, but in playoffs, it's people that can get it done. And some of those guys have gotten it done before, right? Like, honestly, I feel like you throw Max Domi and a couple of the guys they had to get rid of in the lineup, I feel like they would have been a contender. But I think they got their work cut out for them. I think what they have going for them is that Nashville's penalty kill is ranked 29th in the league, and they have the 25th power play. So on special teams, they don't score goals, and people score goals on them. So in playoffs, if at any point Coyotes can capitalize on that, like I don't know where they're standing up, they might catch them. They might.
That's exactly why I picked the 5-game series, Mr. Bearddola. It's going to be a good series. I think it's going to be an intriguing series. Not one of my top picks for series, but I mean, I think it's going to be a great series. I like it the other way. I'm not a big Coyote guy here, and I'm going to have to take the Preds in 5.
I think I'm a little partial to the Coyotes just because, me and my dad do a away Rangers game every year, and I had just one hell of a time the year we went to the Glendale Gila Arena and went on a rip with my father, getting hammed, and we met Kevin Hayes, Matt Zuccarello, and JT Miller's parents in a bar the night before the game and just got to hang out with them. So always partial to them, but that's also a good segue because thinking of JT Miller, thinking of the Wild versus the Canucks and Matt Zuccarello, what better face-off than Matt Zuccarello versus JT Miller, two great Rangers that we love to talk about, great players.
Heart and soul guys, man.
Heart and soul guys. And, dude, I think JT Miller led the Canucks in points this year. I think he had
He was incredible for them. I mean, listen, anybody who gets the chance to play with Elias Pettersson, Brock Besser, Quinn Hughes, if you're on a power play with those guys and you're not putting up a lot of points, shame on you.
Shame on you.
But let's be real. We knew JT Miller was a stud from the go.
Stud. Absolute stud. Parents, by the way, JT, your parents are some of the nicest people I have ever met. They were an absolute gem. It was a fantastic time for all the parents of the Rangers that I met. Thank you very much for accepting me and my
But
friends.
for me, JT Miller, I was downright upset when we let him go in the Tampa Bay deal with
Yeah,
McDonough.
that hurt. That
To
hurt.
me,
McDonough and Miller going.
I didn't mind the McDonough move for the cap and the future. I understood it. For me, Miller fits the mold of what we're doing now. So that one to me was dumb. I didn't like it. I thought it was the worst move we made. Obviously, we got D'Angelo out of it. We got a couple other pieces that were incredible. But, I mean,
Come on, you love D'Angelo.
we could have gave up something a little different. Could have gave up something a little different than JT Miller and probably still got the same package. So, to me, I didn't love it. Obviously, now I've been screaming at David Quinn and Jeff Gordon to sign my boy Tony D to a huge ticket. Shout out to my South Jersey guy. Sign him. But in this series, obviously, we're talking JT Miller, Zuccarello. Zuccarello, last 6 years, heart and soul of the Rangers, 7 years, whatever it was. I mean,
what was the trophy Mika just won from the Rangers? It was like that.
The McDonald Award.
The McDonald.
Zuccarello won 100 of them.
He won 2 in a row, just like Mika did. Just like great guy in the community.
He was the biggest heart and soul Ranger guy in the last 20 years. You don't get a better Ranger than Matt Zuccarello. It hurt to lose him. I like the move just for the simple fact that he's overpaid. I mean, he got a 5-year deal at $5 million, 6-year deal at $5 million, $30 million at 32 years old.
Dude, are you not super pumped that our boy Matty Zook got fucking paid?
I'm happy he got the money. I'm more than happy my man got the sheets. I'm just happy the Rangers weren't the ones who gave it because we're in a different zone right now. If it was 3 years ago, I'd give him the money and I'd clap and I'd kiss him, I'd hug him. Right now, it wasn't the time. We made the right move. As much as it hurt, I wanted to cry. Heart and soul guy, one of my favorites ever.
One of the favorites ever.
I can't believe I didn't put him in my top 10. Actually disgusted right now from episode
Neither
1.
of us had him in the
now
top
that
10,
I think of it,
disgusting.
Now that I think of it, actually disgusted that I skipped out on Matt Zuccarello. Sorry to you, Matt, because you're easily top 3 to me in my lifetime. I mean, for
Love
sure.
Him. Yeah, but, Matty Zook, if you ever want to talk to us, please come on the show. We would love to chat with you.
Anytime, Zooks. But, for me, this series is cut and dry, simple as could be. You want to call it a hot take, call it a hot take. I like the Canucks in 3. I don't think there's a chance for the Wild.
Wow.
I think the firepower is absolutely incredible. Quinn Hughes and Elias Pettersson can't be stopped. Jacob Markstrom out of the woodwork the last year and a half, just an incredible tender. They're just making all the right moves. I mean, you can't see anything the Canucks have done the last 2 or 3 years, draft-wise, trade-wise, that wasn't right. You bring in JT Miller. I mean, they just went after who was he? From Carolina, scored 20 goals last year. Why can't I remember his name? What a pigeon I am. God damn. When I figure it out, I'll get back to you. But they just picked Michael Furlan from Carolina. 20-goal guy, heart and soul guy, headbutt guy. He'll go in the corners. He'll fight you. He'll
cross Shaw guy. Yeah, like he's going to be in front of the net.
Everything. He's your kind of hard-nosed hockey guy, Tim. I mean, he's incredible. So, I
agree. You're not even talking about Tyler Toffoli, Tanner Pearson.
I'm not even getting into them because the bottom line is they're studly. I mean, they're quietly a very studly team. They got firepower. They have 2 through 4 lines. They have a great goalie.
They're balanced. They're very well balanced.
I like the Canucks. I think this is the most cut and dry series in all 8 series. I like the Canucks in 3.
Yeah, it sucks. Zach Parise, great player. Matt Zuccarello, great player. Suter, great player. Eric Stahl, great player. I'm sorry to say it's not your year again. The Wild, just first round, not your year again. And it just seems to keep happening to you. But hopefully you get the right combination soon enough. But I think we're both in the same lane here, Canucks in 4. So, JG, that's all the series that we have today. I think we went through a good amount of hockey clubs, a good amount of games. We're going to be watching them all this weekend, seeing how it shakes out and how the series shake out, and then what the bracket's going to be when we actually go into the full NHL playoffs. So, fans out there, that was episode 2 of Lightin the Lamp. We had a great time kind of going through those previews, just talking all the different aspects of the series. But Joe, any last minute thoughts before we sign off here, and then we'll we'll get into episode 3 later on.
Absolutely. I'm gonna give you a couple of gambling thoughts here. So, I want to finish this segment here. Obviously, we just talked Wild Canucks. The series is plus 105 Minnesota Wild, minus 125 Canucks. I like the Canucks minus 125. I'm gonna drop 300 on them to win the series tomorrow. One more series I like here is gonna be the Arizona Coyotes and the Nashville Predators. I'm gonna take the Preds. Game 1 at minus 1.5 plus 195. That is my big money ticket this weekend. I like the Preds to win 3-4-0 in the first game. I think they're going to come out and overwhelm the Coyotes, and I think the Coyotes will come back and make it a series. But I think Game 1, Predators minus 1.5 plus 195. I'm going to put $200 on that, and that's my gambling segment here to finish her off. I mean, I like a lot of other stuff. Obviously, we have our Rangers from segment 1. You could bet anything you want. My 2 series are West Coast series. Those are the ones I like the best as far as me cornering them. And that's what I'm going with.
I love it. Well, it was great talking with you, JG. It was great previewing the games. I can't wait to actually watch them and then get back with you and talk about the actual bracket moving forward. So we're going to sign off for Lighting the Lamp. But until episode 3, it's been great talking with you. And for anyone that's listen to the end, please like, share, and comment on this episode. Chirp us a little bit for the White Claws and Twisted Teas in the beginning, and we'll go from there. We might chirp you back or just say hello or, get engaged. So thank you again, and hope you have a good one.
Cheers to you guys. Great episode 2.
Episode 2. Signing out. Boom.